Now live, here's Josh Hennig.
Tuesday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, and yes, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free thanks to First Bank. See y'all live here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Hanging out with you. Got some more NFL to talk this hour. Big day in the NFL. Franchise tags. Also more on the aftermath of Jason Kelce's retirement. We'll get into all that coming up in less than 20 minutes from now with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. He will join me to talk more about it here on 97.3 ESPN. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 in your DMs through the aforementioned 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Before we get to the football talk, I do want to touch on some of the bigger news of the day. Has to do with the Sixers. And I'm not going to sit here and try to read too much into it, but Tyrese Maxey will not play tonight for the Sixers against the Nets. 7:30 p.m. Tom McGinnis on the call here on 97.3 ESPN. Tyrese Maxey is being diagnosed with a concussion, and we don't know exactly when will return. So, obviously you'd rather be careful than not. I think that this is a situation where I don't want to read too much into it, but I think it's important to keep an eye on because this is the first game of a back-to-back. So for me, when I'm looking at the Sixers, if you got two back-to-back games, and they got a busy schedule coming up here, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, that's 3 games in 4 days. Better to be safe than sorry with Tyrese Maxey and not try to exasperate any potential long-term issue because you're going to need him. This Sixers team is in the middle of trying to stay relevant in the NBA playoff standings until Joel Embiid gets back. It's no simple thing. They are way, way undermanned without Joel Embiid offensively. And you look at the teams around them right now, you're fortunate that the Cavs are going to be without Donovan Mitchell for the next few days because of the knee injection that he just got. The Knicks still don't have Julius Randle back yet. Realistically, the only team ahead of you that is full power right now is the Celtics. Even the Bucks, they have looked good recently, but they haven't looked unstoppable because there have been games that Giannis has been great, but Damian Lillard has been okay. Lillard was fuego hot for about 2-3 games, and Giannis was okay. Middleton is not the player he was a couple of years ago. So the Bucks are a very interesting team, even though they have won 6 straight. They haven't done it in perfect manner. So the Sixers are fortunate that they have been able to hold on the way they have. And now, without Maxey tonight, it definitely has to make you wonder about how they are going to survive the next couple of games without him if he does miss more than 1 game. Now, hopefully he doesn't, but I'm not going to dismiss the fact that concussion has an unspecific timetable for return. So this is something we're going to keep an eye on as we go throughout the next coming days. Tyrese Maxey is the most important player on this team, not named Joel Embiid. So without him, what is this team going to look like? I know for me, I don't expect them to win tonight. If you're one of those people like Jeff in Ocean City who always shoots me texts into the text board at 609-403-0973 and asks me for a pick, well, my pick is I don't think the Sixers win tonight. I think it's going to be really tough for them to win a game like this against a team like this. So, I think that that's something we keep an eye on moving forward here on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers Nets 7:30 tonight. Tom McGinnis on the call, and then tomorrow the Sixers are back at it again when they take on the Memphis Grizzlies. So Sixers, they gotta survive, right? At Brooklyn tonight, back home against Memphis, Friday against the New Orleans Pelicans, and then Sunday and Tuesday in New York against the Knicks. So busy schedule coming up for the 76ers, and I'm assuming that this is a precautionary move by the Sixers to prevent maybe a further problem for Maxey moving forward. All right. I want to touch on a couple items with the NFL because this was a big day in the NFL news-wise when it comes to business of football, right? And it has a specific impact on the Philadelphia Eagles because in the aftermath of Jason Kelce's retirement announcement, a lot of people are asking questions about how the organization is going to prioritize different positions. And we'll dig deeper into who was or was not tagged with Rob Maaddi coming up in about 12 minutes from now here on 97.3 ESPN. But you look at the guys who were not tagged, and there are a couple players who did not receive the franchise tag who could be on the Philadelphia Eagles wish list. I see specifically 3 of them. All right. Now, I'm not saying all 3 are going to be available for Philadelphia, but I think all 3 should at least be in a conversation. Number 1 is Xavier McKinney. Frankly, I am surprised that this guy is even available because you are talking about a Giants organization that has not made a ton of great decisions in the draft. This guy has actually been a good player. Now, he's never been an all-pro, so I understand he might not be an elite player, but the guy in 3 of his 4 seasons has been an above-average player. Now, he hasn't been healthy for all of his years, right? His rookie year, he only played 6 games, and last season, he only played 9 games, so he has had some injury problems. But the 2 other years, he played at least 16, 17 games in both, and he had really great seasons. So when he is healthy, he is one of the better safeties in this league. The fact that the Giants are not tagging him and letting him walk, I think the Eagles should jump all over that. That guy should be the number 1 target for Philadelphia. You are talking about a dude who is an immediate starter. Philadelphia, day 1. Okay. That's the number 1 guy I'm keeping an eye on. The number 2 guy is Christian Wilkins. And while the Eagles don't need a defensive tackle necessarily, Christian Wilkins is a stud. And if he is not one of the guys who hated Vic Fangio when Fangio was down there, you have to at least consider having a conversation with him if he is a guy who fits what Fangio wants to do. Remember, when Wilkins first got drafted by the Dolphins, he didn't actually play interior D tackle. He was more of a edge guy in a 3-4 defense. So he was a 3-down lineman, later became a 4-down lineman in Fangio's scheme. So is he somebody who looks at Vic Fangio and said, I had a career high in sacks with this guy. I had one of my best production seasons of my NFL career at 28 years old. I want to still play in that system. Now, the problem is, I just mentioned, 28 years old, going to ask for a lot of money. But we do know Philadelphia has gone down this route before. Remember, when they signed Javon Hargrave, it was not necessarily a need. And Javon Hargrave was 27 when he came to Philadelphia. And Philadelphia got 3 of Hargrave's best years out of him before he hit the free agent market again. So does Wilkins become a guy that the Eagles can say, look, we're going to bring him in, not because we need him, but because he fits what Fangio does. And if he has a good relationship with Vic Fangio, he's not one of the guys like Jalen Ramsey and other players who have been trashing Vic Fangio in recent weeks, then yeah, he could be an option. But if he's one of the guys who is disgruntled, he's definitely not an option. And the other question is about Wilkins. Now, again, I preface this by saying I don't know if he is actually an option or not. But at 6'4", 310, where would he fit on this defensive line? Would he play along with Jalen Carter? Would he be the number 1 or number 2 D tackle for this team? How does Jordan Davis and Milton Williams fit into that conversation? And if you sign Wilkins, is there a potential scenario where you would maybe move on from one of the other guys? If you're not moving on from Jalen Carter, that guy is going to be a future all-pro in this league. But do you look at Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, and say, look, we love you guys. We think very highly of you, but Christian Wilkins is our guy moving forward, and we don't have enough snaps for all of you, so we might trade one of you. Just something to think about. The third guy who was not franchise tagged today that I am keeping an eye on is Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was a guy the Eagles wanted a few years ago, but because he got in trouble for the whole sports gambling situation, we'll call it, he ended up having to sit out a year in the NFL, was grabbed by the Jags, and went down to Jacksonville and had a solid year, not a great year. Now, it's his first year back after not playing at all. Why do I mention him? Well, the Eagles could use another receiver. And whether it's Ridley or somebody else, they do need a bona fide, reliable slot receiver moving forward. And for as much as I like Britton Covey as a person and as an interview with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, I don't think he's a viable option for the slot if they can get somebody else. Ridley played at Alabama for 2 years with Jalen Hurts. If you can get Ridley to come in here, and he had a good year, not a great year last year, but he had a good year. Not great, good. If you can convince Devonta Smith to kick into the slot, and what if you have Ridley and Brown on the outside, Smith on the inside, in Kellen Moore's offense that is a high-powered scheme? Could Calvin Ridley bring the Eagles' offense back up another level? Again, those relationships are a big deal. 3 names, think about, who were not tagged today. We'll ask Rob Maaddi what he thinks coming up on the other side. Jason Kelce retires. NFL after franchise tag day, all that more. AP senior NFL reporter Rob Maaddi joins me next year on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check it on the text board a little bit later this hour. Jeff in Ocean City and more. 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
It's Sixers Nets tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
To the left side, Buddy Hield on the drive. Into the lane, left-hand layup, up and goes. Buddy Hield scores a layup.
Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
Hammers it in. Are you kidding me? He rocks the rim.
97.3 ESPN.
Hey, Joe Montana here. Back in my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia, a bacterial lung disease that can be life-threatening. If you're 65 or older or 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like diabetes or asthma, you're at increased risk. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination and learn more at knowpneumonia.com. That's KNOW pneumonia.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
To celebrate the new Quick Draw Progressive from the New Jersey Lottery, give it up for the rolling jackpot.
The jackpot keeps rolling, rolling, jackpot rolling.
Quick Draw is now Quick Draw Progressive with a free shot at winning a rolling jackpot with every play.
Quick Draw. Jackpot. Quick Draw. Play today. All right.
Play Quick Draw Progressive today.
Anything can happen in Jersey.
Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or somebody knows a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on Carol. She's more focused on hitting a high note than the car in front of her. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies, first aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready.
And get ready for the workday.
2 for $222. 2 for $222. Drive home 2 new Kias at Matt Blatt Kia for just $222 per month. For the first time, get 2 new Kias for $222 at Matt Blatt Kia, where you can get a brand new 2024 Kia Forte LXS for just $111 per month lease with zero security deposit and just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? That's a brand new 2024 Kia Forte 24-month lease for $111 per month, or drive home 2 for $222. Both with Matt Blatt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkia@j.com for complete details, or 888-505-667. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 4/2/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Dog parents are loving Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend Premium Dog Food.
The way she acts and the way she moves, it's just so much better. And she acts like she's like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a freeze-dried raw food made with 0 artificial preservatives, so it's naturally shelf-stable with no mess, freezer, or fridge required. Plus, it's full of premium turkey, beef, salmon, and meat your dog will love.
We started with Nature's Blend. She's happy. She sleeps well. She's energetic. I am just delighted with this product.
When given the choice, Nature's Blend and Amazon's #1 bestseller in dry dog food, 29 out of 30 dogs chose Nature's Blend first.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of delicious beef liver treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
It's only too poetic. I found my career being fulfilled in the city of brotherly love. I knew that relationship all too well. Some people struggle to play in this city. They can't handle the booze, the media, or our fans. Consider it a great blessing to play in the most passionate sports town in America.
Jason Kelce yesterday called it a blessing to have his 13-year career in Philadelphia. We'll get into that and more with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, joining me now here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, welcome back. How you doing on this Tuesday?
What's going on, Josh? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. So I see you survived franchise tag day, at least.
Franchise tag day, and for me, first mock draft day. So mock draft 1.0 is out. Don't ask me who I took because I already forgot. I'm actually clicking on it right now to remember who I know my 1 through 5. Now I got to go through, but it's only 1.0. There's three versions of this, so we'll keep going. But man, it's a busy time. Franchise tag, Jason Kelce.
Yeah. So quick question.
Away.
So do you limit it to 3, or did somebody tell you to keep it to 3?
That is a great question. And I was asked, what do you think? We did 3 last year and it worked. So we're sticking with what worked for us last year. 3 seems like a really good number. We're starting earlier this year. This is a little bit earlier than I did it last year. I believe it wasn't until April last year. So we're in March and we're getting a head start on it. But of course, it's really a late start because you can consider so many draft. Do we call them experts, Josh? Draft analysts, draft folks, draft.
I call them analysts.
Yeah, I'm not going to say experts, but so many they've started so probably into their 4th and 5th version of the mock draft. I did stumble upon, and I forget who it was, who grades out people's drafts and how many. And I like that. I want to see what my grades are because. There are guys who make a living doing this, and they end up getting like 6 out of 32 or 5 out of 32 right. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty. It's almost like being a weather person where you're so wrong so often and still have a career.
Right, exactly. Rob, let's get into a bit about Jason Kelce here. Obviously, a very emotional 40+ minutes he spoke. What for you was the biggest takeaway from what Jason Kelce said yesterday?
Man, there was so much in there, Josh. Like a couple things stand out. One, being a dad and what he said about how important it is for fathers to be present, to love their kids, and to be involved in their lives. I thought that was the best takeaway that anyone who, whether you're an Eagles fan or a non-Eagles fan, a sports fan or not, that to me was the best part of that whole retirement speech because it just speaks to so many people out there who don't have a father figure. And I'm sure Jason has encountered that in the locker room with so many players. And he's been sort of as he's grown older and grown wiser and matured, become a father figure. To turn this into a deep philosophical conversation, but so many issues in our society can be traced on dads not being around for their kids. And when you have young boys growing up or even young girls growing up without a father figure, I mean, there's statistics that tell you how often they end up getting in trouble. I've been part of prison ministry teams where we go into prisons and we talk to these men behind bars. And I'll tell you, a high percentage of those guys don't have a father, didn't grew up in a single parent household. So I thought that was so important from Jason. But then you look at all the football stuff, the part where he talked about guys not being able to handle the media. And I forget the exact quote, but he mentioned being soft. And I thought that was sort of a message to some of the current players on the Eagles who have whined and complained about the narratives from the media. And Jason is on his way out the door saying, hey, if you work hard, if you don't focus on all that nonsense and you're not soft, you can play well and change the narrative here in Philadelphia. So I thought that was important. And of course, everything else, all the sentimental stuff was really cool too.
So with Jason Kelce, as you mentioned, walking out the door, what should Philadelphia do? I asked the question yesterday, Rob, Are you an organization that says, look, we know Cam Jurgens is going to be our center, but do you really want another young guy next to him? Or do you do for Jurgens what you once did for Jason and go out, get a Brandon Brooks type guy to protect your center?
That's a great point, and I think losing Jason is going to be a big time blow for the Eagles. From a football perspective, he's a 6-time All-Pro, the best at his position, and a future Hall of Famer. I think first ballot. I don't know the way these voters in the NFL look at things. Like Antonio Gates didn't get in on the first ballot, but guys were telling me he'll get in next year. Well, what changed? Why is he going to get in next year but not this year? Are they going to make Jason wait a year? Whatever it is, you're talking about a future Hall of Famer. Now you got to replace his production on the field, his leadership in the locker room, his leadership on and off the field, the way he sees defenses, the way he reads everything. You got to replace that, and I think it's going to be difficult, whether it's Cam Jurgens or however, and that's certainly the way that's the setup. That's what he's there to do, to be the bridge. He was brought in to be the next guy, and I think it's a great point you make about bringing in a veteran to put alongside him at the guard spot. That's something that the Eagles can do. Look, they got $30 million more in salary cap this year than last year. There are ways that you can spend that money without bringing in players by re-upping guys and extending guys, but also it gives them an opportunity to use that money in ways to shore up their offensive line, and they're going to lose some more guys. I don't think Fletcher Cox is going to come back, so that looks like he's going to be next out the door, and they're going to have to find ways to improve the safety position, the cornerback position. There's a lot on Howie Roseman's to-do list this offseason, and replacing Jason Kelce's presence and leadership and captaincy on
Talking with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, senior NFL writer, joining me here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. You mentioned safety. Well, let me ask you, one of the guys who was not franchise tagged today is Xavier McKinney. Would that be a guy that the Eagles should be pursuing this offseason?
And also Seattle got rid of a couple players too, right? Jamal Adams is going to be released. And, you look at the production out of Xavier McKinney, and then you think about what is it going to cost, Josh? What is it going to cost to bring in a big name type player? We know that they were willing to go out there and make a deal for Kevin Byard at the trade deadline, and that didn't work out. And that's going to cost them a couple picks, and he's gone. I don't think that the Eagles are a team right now that's going to sign a free agent safety who's going to cost them a significant amount of money. Now, I know they've done that in the past, right? It worked out well with Malcolm Jenkins, but that's not a position that they often invest in. They'll spend money on cornerbacks. They'll spend money at the defensive line, the offensive line. They've prioritized those spots, but bringing in a free agent safety of McKinney's caliber, or even one of the guys that Seattle let go, or anyone else who's going to become available, I don't see Howie making a move like that right now. I think this is an area where they will look to continue to develop their younger players, build through the draft, and bring in those stopgap type veterans, the guys who can be on the 1-year deals, and the guys who are on prove it type deals. So that's I've heard today already people talking about the Eagles and Saquon Barkley. I just, as much as I think he would be a big addition to the offense, I don't see the Eagles investing that kind of money in a running back. I think he looks like someone who would fit perfectly in Dallas, or in a situation where they're close to, or as some teams view it, we got to go all in to get to where we need to be. I don't know that the Eagles are going to be all in. And I wonder how Howie is evaluating this team coming off losing 6 of 7. Do they feel that they are a player or two away from being a Super Bowl contender? Because I don't feel that way. I don't think they're a player or two away from Super Bowl contention, and I don't think they're in a rebuild, but they're more of a retooling while staying competitive and still being in the playoff conversation. But I just don't think they are McKinney, Barkley, big-time players away from being a Super Bowl team. We could be wrong. We didn't think they were a Super Bowl team in 17, and they went on and made some significant moves and won the Super Bowl. We didn't think they were going to be a Super Bowl contending team 2 years ago when Jalen Hurts took a big step up and everything came together, and they went out and got A.J. Brown, and they made it all the way to the big game and lost by 3. So right now, I'm going to be very interested to see how the Eagles handle the opening day. Well, not even the first day of free agency, Josh. Really, you look at the 2 days of tampering, because that tells the story right there. You look at those 2 days of tampering and you see what's going to go down and which direction they're going to go. Although Howie will make moves in June, he'll make moves in July, he'll make moves in August, he'll make moves in September.
Rob, you mentioned Saquon Barkley. I got to ask you, this is going to be a wild offseason for the running back. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. I believe Austin Eckler is out there as well. Like, you have, these are not like, low-end players. These are Pro Bowl, potential all-pro year in, year out dudes, and they're all going to be out there. But we know teams are spending money on these guys, big money. So they all can't get big contracts. So what is your synopsis of the running back terrain here?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some of these guys. Either you get a 1-year deal where you're making a significant amount of money up front, where I still don't think they're going to get the franchise number, which would have been around 12, I believe it is, for running backs. I don't think any of these guys are going to get the average 11.9. That's what the franchise tag number. If teams were willing to give them 11.9, then they would have been franchise tagged. So I think they're going to be closer to what Miles Sanders got last year, and he certainly didn't work out for Carolina. But when you look at the Chiefs winning back-to-back Super Bowls with Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round pick, like that's hurting the running back market, because you have guys who can be successful, the last man standing at running back, and they're late-round picks. Even when the Lions go out and invest in a first-round pick in Jahmyr Gibbs, they still team him up with David Montgomery. That was a 1-2 punch right there. And I know Atlanta went out and drafted Bijan Robinson early. You don't have a guy like that in the draft this year. So you would think that those players, Henry and Eckler and Saquon and Jacobs, would be a little bit more valuable. But I wouldn't be surprised if for them to get their guaranteed money, if it's like a 2 or 3 year deal, but it's lower average annual. So say you're looking at like a 3-year, $20 million guaranteed deal. Now you're talking about you're in the 6-7 range or so average annual salary, but that's a way to get your $20 million guaranteed. You're not going to get it in 1 year, and you're not going to get it in 2, but a team spreads it out over 3, helps them with their salary cap, and also gives them the flexibility. If you're performing well, they'll have you on the roster for those 3 years. So I think we're going to see some of those along with the 1-year prove-its, but it's going to be very, very, very telling what happens with this running back group, because you have a pretty darn good group of running backs who are all on the free agent market at the same time. And I think this is going to set the standard going forward. The days of the Christian McCaffreys on San Francisco, I think, are long gone. Teams are going towards that 1-2 punch that you see a lot of teams having, and some even have 3 guys. And that doesn't bode well for the position going forward, Josh.
Which of the 3 other NFC East teams that are not the Eagles are you keeping your eye on? Because there's a lot of interesting storylines with these teams, right? Tyron Smith, his time in Dallas looks like it's done. And we know historically Dallas has not won many games without him on the field. Do the Giants consider bringing in another quarterback to compete with Daniel Jones? With the names that are floating out there, Washington is basically, I guess they're hitting the reset button, or are they? We don't exactly know what their game plan is down there in DC. So, which of those three teams are you keeping the closest eye on, Rob?
Well, they all have, as you said, intriguing storylines, and I did mock Jaden Daniels going to Washington at number 2, and it's good. The question with the draft is who's going to be number 2. Is it Daniels? Is it Drake May? Caleb Williams is going to be 1. The Giants, I see people giving them J.J. McCarthy. I just don't see that happen. Not where they are, unless they trade back. I don't think that's going to happen. But to answer your question, which team? It's Dallas. It's the Cowboys. You always got to keep an eye out on America's team. I know they haven't won a Super Bowl in 3 decades, but when Jerry Jones says they're all in, and the next thing you know, the left tackle Tyron Smith isn't coming back. If you're a Cowboy fan, you got to be asking yourself, like, how are you going to replace him? What are you going to do? Because you need to figure out a way to protect Dak Prescott's blind side. So that's going to be extremely interesting to me. Is what do the Cowboys do in free agency? What do they do in the draft? What it necessarily equates to being all in when Jerry Jones says something like that, because the way they finished, and this was the one opportunity for Bill Belichick to get a job. And a lot of people, the more I talk to Josh around the league, the more people think if Bill at all is going to come back and coach next year, it would have to be in Dallas, and McCarthy would have to stink it up in the playoffs again. But Cowboys haven't won back-to-back divisions. Nobody's won back-to-back divisions in the NFC East. So it's right there for the Eagles taking. I don't think the Giants are going to make that leap. I don't think the Commanders are going to make that leap. I think it's still the Eagles and Dallas in coming down to one of them winning the NFC East next year. So the Cowboys may be better. They might have more talent on their roster right now, in a better position, but for 11 weeks, the Eagles were the better team at 10-1, and we know how things ended for them. So I'm certainly keeping an eye out on what the Cowboys are doing day in and day out.
And then what is your biggest takeaway from last week's combine? Obviously, a lot of news swirling around Caleb Williams not wanting to do the medicals, which in of itself is so weird. That's like one of the main things people do at this, right? The fact that some guys didn't want to perform. I know Jaden Daniels was criticized for leaving the combine early and not hanging around to watch his teammates. What was your takeaways or biggest takeaways from the several days of combine spin cycle?
Yeah, and to me, it's interesting to see more players not wanting to participate in, whether it's medicals or whether it's throwing, whether it's the entire performance, and saying, I'll wait till pro day or whatever it may be. And, what's interesting to me and funny to me is how this has become such a big time event. The league puts it on, the league markets this, and they got all these daily coverage on NFL Network. And then there are coaches who, Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, I think Sean McVay, who don't even go, right? They don't even go to the combine. And there's few more coaches who aren't doing that. And then from a medical standpoint, there are people who I've talked to at the league who have been working to change the structure of the combine, who've called it demeaning, who've said that getting these athletes in there and getting every team to poke, their doctors to poke and prod at them and to parade them out there in their underwear and all this stuff is very demeaning to these guys. So on one hand, you got the league promoting this because it's a tentpole event for them. And then there's people within the NFL who are feeling like, hey, we need to change this up to humanize this more. And they've done some things, right? They've gotten rid of certain types of testing and things like that along the way. So that to me is very interesting, but people love it. People are watching it. People are going there. I think the trend that you're seeing, though, as a takeaway from this is more and more players like a Caleb Williams and a Jaden Daniels and guys like that are going to, in years to come, choose not to participate in certain aspects of the combine. I think that's going to be more of a growing trend, and guys are going to feel like, hey, my tape says it all, or just you can see me at my pro day. But if I can understand, why would a guy like Caleb Williams want 32 team doctors inspecting him and poking and prodding at him? Why would you want that when you know that those 32 teams, as he said, they're not going to have a chance to draft them? Jaden, Dan, there's only a handful of teams when you're projected to go top 3, and in his case, those 2 guys. In Caleb's case, number 1. So why do you want to go through that process? So I get that aspect of it.
I was gonna let you go, Rob. I gotta ask a counter to that point, what you just said about how, we all have to do things in life we don't want to do. You know what I mean? We all do things for our jobs, our professional lives. I mean, I feel like you and I could have a separate show just talking about the stuff that we have to do in our professional lives that we may not want to do, but it's required to do the job that we do. So I kind of don't have any compassion or empathy for Caleb Williams. Be like, I don't want to do this. Well, shouldn't we say, well, this is part of being a professional athlete, that you might have to do things you don't want to do?
I can understand that argument, and I can understand you saying also you're going to be compensated incredibly well and better than any in the top 1%, right, for doing that. So I can understand that. I will also say you and I and most people, when we get to choose where we want to work by applying for that job, right? And in the case of these guys coming in, unless they're not drafted, where they become a free agent and they have multiple offers, you're going to this combine and you don't. Caleb Williams may not want to, and that's just an example. There's no indication that he doesn't want to go to Chicago, but a guy might not want to be in a certain city or play for a certain team. And there's been we've seen guys, right? Eli and John Elway and all of that stuff, but they don't pick where they play for the most part. So that's me trying to answer your question with a counter. I get what you're saying, and I understand it, and it's valid, especially when you consider you're going to be compensated so well for it. But then the other side is, well, I'm not getting to pick where I go. Teams are choosing me, and now I'm locked in for a few years. And while I'm getting paid very well, I'm farther away from maybe where I want to be, or however it is. And that's just one other viewpoint of it, Josh.
All right. Well, conversation to be continued with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press, senior NFL writer, also at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform, and Faithful on the Field, heard Saturday and Sunday mornings right here on 97.3 ESPN. Oh, and I can't forget the AP Pro Football Podcast. Like, subscribe, wherever you get your podcast. Rob, appreciate you jumping on today.
Always, man. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dan and EHT, Jeff in Ocean City. Your text coming up on the other side. Plus, coming up in less than 10 minutes from now, your next opportunity to qualify for the Phillies to Baltimore trip on March 28th. Maynard's in Margate. Must be present to win, but you must be a qualifier before you have a chance to win. That chance is coming up in about 10 minutes, actually less than 10 minutes from now.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small. Can't wake up without it. Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-294-8831 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-294-8831. That's 800-294-8831. What do you have to lose? Call 800-294-8831. Again, 800-294-8831.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smokers Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smokers Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
Every day, Cintas service reps help businesses get ready for the workday. They provide freshly laundered workwear delivered every week. Mats, mops, restroom and cleaning supplies, first aid and safety products to help your employees stay safe. They even test and inspect fire extinguishers and emergency lights. Cintas helps keep your business running smoothly. See what Cintas can do for you. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with a 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, just like our customer Paul.
I run a farm with my family, and thanks to Cricket 5G, I know they can reach me, even when I'm out walking our dog Valentine.
Good dog, Valentine. Big nationwide 5G. Get fast 5G on 4 lines for only $25 per month each. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Real customer pay for testimonial. Discounts vary per line. Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See store for details.
And now, A poem for all you lovebirds out there. Getting down on getting down. Some cars are red, others are blue. Trade in your old car and drive something new. Fall in love with saving at Matt Blatt Nissan. How about 1.9% financing for 60 months on every new 23 Rogue in stock?
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
With over 200 new cars in stock and incoming. Come see why Matt Blatt is your premier Nissan dealer. This month only, lease a brand new Sentra for $259 a month with only $19.99 down. And with Matt Blatt Nissan's 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you simply can't make a mistake. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Rogues. Not all will qualify. Not valid on previous purchase. Go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details or call 844-917-4758. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. VIN RY263938. Central sale price $21,520. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Coming up in about 3 minutes, your next chance to qualify for the Phillies trip to Baltimore, thanks to Phillies Sports Trips here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig live here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios, hanging out with you guys. A couple texts to get in here before we get out of here. Jeff from Ocean City says the Sixers lose tonight. Can Tobias hit the first 3 of the game? Apparently, the odds, I'm assuming this is DraftKings Sportsbook, but it looks like it's plus 1,200 are the odds. I mean, it's better odds than the lottery. Maybe it's like playing roulette. Picking who is going to hit the first 3-pointer of a game seems like it's probably even harder than pick who can get the first base hit of a baseball game, or its equivalent. So yeah, I have fun with that, Jeff. Dan EHT chimes in and says, give me a break. Kelce doesn't want family time. He wants to drink beer. The important things in life. Come on, man. I'm assuming Dan EHT is being sarcastic or not being serious, because if you are, you obviously don't know very much about Jason Kelce. Look, Kelce, we talked about this earlier on the Sports Bash. Anyone who's listened to his podcast frequently, like I do, I listen to it every single week. I've been a weekly pod listener to the New Heights show since day one, because, and the same reason why I listen to Chris Long's podcast every week. I find pro athletes who have more dimensions and layers to them than just being football players interesting. Their views on life, their conversations, the way they view the game, the way they view different things. It fascinates me. And Kelce has confirmed, and his brother Travis has made fun of him for, as well as Jason's family has joked with him about the fact he's a homebody. He is not a guy who goes out all the time. He is notorious for not, quote unquote, leaving the house. And it's a joke on the podcast that, hey, Jason left the house this week. Jason got out of the house. So I think that the idea that Kelce, all he wants to do is party and drink, I think that's a very overrated thing. He is a very much a dedicated family man at his heart. All right, you know what that sounder means. Caller number 7. Your time is now at 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. If you get in, you are qualified for the Philly Sports Trips giveaway for you and a friend to go to a Phillies game in Baltimore at Camden Yards this summer. But you must be caller number 7, and you must be present at Maynard's in Margate, March 28th, where Mike Gill and the Sports Bash will be broadcasting live during Phillies opening day against the Atlanta Braves. Again, caller number 7 at 609-573-3776. You are qualified for the Phillies to Baltimore giveaway contest. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow.